Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of One-to-One Sociology. Today, we're going to be starting our first topic, which is education. We are specifically going to discuss cultural deprivation. If you haven't watched our first video, then I recommend you to watch that to get the basics of sociology. Key questions about education. First of all, sociologists are interested in four main questions about education. Why do some people achieve more than others? This is discussed because, on average, pupils from middle class backgrounds perform better than pupils from working class backgrounds. There are also differences in achievement between gender and ethnic groups. Secondly, they also consider the role of education in society and who benefits from it. Functionalists say education allocates people to jobs based on ability, whereas Marxists would argue that education provides an obedient workforce. Thirdly, sociologists are interested in how different people experience school. Girls and boys often study different subjects, and ethnic minorities may receive discrimination. This not only affects achievement, but also identity and self esteem. The government also makes policies and laws that affect education, and sociologists like to study their impact. Class differences in achievement. One of the most striking features of education in Britain is the differences in achievement between social classes. Most sociologists use parents' occupation to determine social class. Middle class or non manual occupations include professionals like doctors and teachers, together with managers and owners of business. Working class or manual occupations include skilled workers like plumbers, semi skilled workers like lorry drivers, and unskilled or routine workers like cleaners. Social background has a powerful influence on a child's chance of success. Children of middle class backgrounds do better at GCSE and stay longer in full time education. Sociologists are interested in why these differences in educational achievement exist and put forward different explanations. The first is internal factors. These are factors within school and the education system, such as interactions between pupils and teachers and inequalities within school. The second is external factors. These are factors outside the education system, such as the influence of home, family background, and wider society. We focus on cultural deprivation, cultural capital, and material deprivation. Cultural deprivation. A nationwide study by the Center for Longitudinal Studies found that by the age of 3, children from working class homes were already a year behind those from middle class homes. The gap also widens with age. They argue that we learn to acquire basic values, attitudes, and skills needed for educational success through primary socialization. However, working class families fail to socialize their children adequately, making them culturally deprived, which causes them to underachieve in school. Sociologists argue that this is the result of cultural deprivation. Three main aspects of cultural deprivation are language, parents' education, and working class subculture. Language. Language is an essential part of the process of education, and the way in which parents communicate with their children affects their cognitive development. Hobbes, Tate et al. Found that parents that use language that makes their children evaluate their own understanding or ability improves cognitive development. Feinstein found that educated parents are more likely to use this language and also use praise, which encourages children to develop a sense of skill. On the other hand, less educated parents tend to use language that only requires children to make a simple statement. Bayreuther and Engelman claimed that language in working class homes is deficient due to communication with gestures and simple phrases. As a result, children do not develop necessary language skills and become incapable of abstract thinking. They are unable to take advantage of the opportunities offered in school later in life. Speech codes. Bernstein also identifies differences between working class and middle class language which influences achievement. He differentiates between two types of speech code. The first is the restricted code. This is typically used by the working class. It has limited vocabulary. Speech is predictable and may involve a single word or gesture. It is predictive, not analytical. The elaborated code. This is typically used by middle class. It has wider vocabulary and more complex sentences. It is more varied and communicates abstract ideas. The differences in speech codes give middle class an advantage at school because the elaborated code is used by teachers, textbooks, and exams. Early socialization into the elaborated code means middle class are already fluent users by the time they are in school. Parents' education. Parents' attitudes to education are a key factor to a child's educational success. A major study by Douglas found that working class parents value education less and therefore were less ambitious for their children, meaning they gave them less encouragement and took less interest in their education. This means that children had lower levels of motivation and achievement. Feinstein argues that middle class parents tend to be better educated. meaning they know how to socialize their children in a number of ways. Parenting style. Educated parents emphasize consistent discipline and high expectations, whereas less educated parents give harsh and inconsistent discipline. Educated parents are better at getting expert advice and value activities like going to the museum and library. Use of income. Better educated parents tend to have better incomes and know how to spend this money on improving chances of educational success. Educated parents will also have better understanding of nutrition and how it's important to a child's development. Working class subculture. A subculture is a group whose attitude and values differ from those of mainstream culture. According to some sociologists, large sections of the working class have different goals, beliefs, attitudes, and values from the rest of society. Barry Sugarman argues that the working class subculture has four key features that act as a barrier for educational achievement for the working class. The first is fatalism. This is a belief in fate and that there is nothing you can do to change your status. This contrasts with middle class values that you can change your status through your own efforts. This is also known as a meritocracy. Collectivism. This is valuing being part of a group more than succeeding as an individual. The third is immediate gratification. This is seeking pleasures now rather than sacrificing in order to get rewards later in the future. The last is present time orientation. This is seeing the present as more important than the future. These four keywords explain why working class are less able in educational to get better in education. Thank you for watching. That was an insight into the external factors of cultural deprivation in education. Please like and subscribe for more content coming soon.